Here's the NightForce 7-35. What's good about it? Well, my, the glass is really something. Without sacrificing the fundamentals, you know, your field of view, or only say having a 3.5 times mag range, or only having 50 minutes of internal adjustment, you know, without tripping over any of those hurdles, it's got glass that is brighter all the time. And the Dusk Performance, which has never really been IOR's strong point relatively, is just outstanding. I did a late night test as the sun set, looking at tiny details against a dark hedgerow, and I was using the Zeiss V8, which is, you know, pretty much up there with the top standard for low light performance. And the big tactical dialer that is the 7-35 was right there. That's quite remarkable. And the Crusader wasn't. The Crusader's a high mag, high light, long range scope. It's good at dusk, you know, it's a good scope, but the Attacker just is much better at dusk. It's also got, I wouldn't say it's got more resolution, but it's just easier. It's just, I'd say, down to transmission. I haven't tested sheer light transmission figures, but you know, I've tested with all sorts of different people in different ways and blind tests, and it is clear that the, if you pardon the pun, that the Attacker 7-35 glass is a couple of years fresher and more state of the art than the Crusader. We're not talking big margins here, but it's better. Now, other things I like about the NightForce are classic NightForce things. You've got legendary reliability and toughness and warranty all around the world. You've got a very good choice of rets and such like. You want it in mil, you want it in minutes, no problemo. And that's cool, because your choices are much more limited with the IOR and always have been. Couple of rets, MOA if you can find one, you know, but you can't choose everything 5 different ways like you can on the NightForce. The illumination is better on the NightForce. The NXS series, it is not their strong point, whereas the Attacker, it's really bloody squared away, so you know, all good. Now, you've only got a 5 times mag range, which is minimally acceptable at this class. You know, 5 to 25s, I'm going to talk in a separate video in a minute about how much I prefer the 3 to 7 Schmidt, 3 to 27 Schmidt, over the 5 to 25. It's better at both ends, and you've got 3 instead of 5, and you've got 27 instead of 25. A 5 times mag range now is getting a bit dated, but it just scrapes through. But everything else is really, really impressive. Now, there are a couple of things I personally don't like, but this is not a failing of the scope. What I like is my choice. It doesn't mean it's bad, but I profoundly hate this non-fast, also known as Euro diopter adjustment. So if you look at this scope here, to adjust the diopter, you move that dial, the end, and that one, and that one, and that one, and that one, and that one. This is, geez, you have to undo this ring, move this collar, which moves about an inch, you know, it's very, very long threaded, and by the time you've adjusted it, your eye has adapted. You really need to adjust the diopter fast so your eye doesn't fight you. And this is just a colossal ball ache, and I have no idea what place that has on a modern scope. I also hate the fact that the whole thing turns when you turn the mag. But, you know, there's been debate about this for years, but I have said for years myself, and I see this in the field day in, day out with high mag scopes on my ballistic training days with clients, that you need to and should and must adjust the diopter almost shot by shot. When you're talking about high mag, long range, to get sharp focus, perfect focus, everything just right, and to completely remove parallax, you need to adjust both the parallax and the diopter every shot. to have to bloody get a spanner out and start messing around, oh my days, I profoundly hate that. Okay, so that would put me off spending, you know, 1,300 quid more than the Crusader. However, you know, everyone sees it differently. Other than that, the only obstacle for me recommending personally buying the Attacker 7-35 and rating it higher than the Crusader is that you can almost buy this and that. Not quite, but you get my point. You could, well, here's an example. This is an absolutely belting little low mag scope. It's a 1 to 5.8 for, you know, running and gunning stuff. It's got my add-on on the back there for a PARD. Now, that scope, which is the king of my 1-by test I've been running for a while, like 2 years, never got round to filming, this Delta, they're 600 quid. So you could buy a couple of them and your Crusader for the price of this. And this is the problem with this Clash of the Titans. This scope is, if you can live with that rear diopter adjust, if you're a set and forget guy and you just screw it tight and never look at it again, and you're not bothered by the whole thing turning, and you've got your favourite NightForce Ret, and you know, you trust the brand, there are many people who will spend nearly 4,000 quid getting one of these, and I would heartily say to them, good luck. It isn't better than the Crusader when you factor in value. If money is no object, the 7-35 is optically superior. And that's a big shout, because nothing really has been optically superior than the Crusader for a long time. So if you fancy one, no one's going to stop you, least not me. I'd like to see 7-50 myself. 7-45, you know, 7-35, whoa, just you know, it's just acceptable to me. But then the next man might not be so much bothered about the mag range. I really like to get my money's worth, you know. If I start at 5, I don't want to finish at 25, I want 30, I want 35, I want 40, and I don't want to compromise on anything to get it. You know, field of view, adjustment range, etc, etc. So, gotta say, I could go into a lot more detail and bore you silly, but the 7-35 is a absolutely world-class piece of long-range kit. Both the first focal plane and the second focal plane. Bulletproof, perfect tracking, choice of rets, illumination sorted, infinitely better glass than NightForce have had previously, and horrendously expensive. If you've got the money, go get one. If value is on the radar at all, the Crusader's a better bet all day and twice on Sunday, because it's 0.5% behind. And if you like the IOR Ret, which you probably will because it's pretty flawless, you're not horrendously bothered about the full illumination of the Ret, because the IOR only lights the dot, and not particularly brilliantly either. If you're not bothered about that, which I'm not, I never use the Ret, frankly, the illumination, then the Crusader laps it for value. I'd still recommend the Crusader if value were a factor, if the Crusader were £3,200. It is so close in performance, and I've got to say I prefer 40 mag to 35 myself, but yes, the NightForce is a premium option. But to give some context, going back to the Crusader, if value is relevant, is just standalone. What you get for what, 2,500, 600, something like that in the UK, it's just absolutely remarkable value for the quality, for the toughness. I mean, I've used the same Crusader day in, day out on my ballistic training days in the UK, dialing, well, what do we shoot? We shoot from 400 yards through to 2,500. Different wind, different angle. I'm dialing you know, 100 times a day, and it's just never missed a single beat. So, you know, and optically they're so bright, so sharp. I love the front focus. It's going to be really interesting to see, having dropped that for the version 2 that's just come out, will that be a step toward conformity and going with the pack, you know, of normal side focus, and a drop in optical quality and sharpness, or have they managed to do both? It's going to be very interesting to see. But, you know, watch this space. But yeah, the Clash of the Titans of these two, NightForce I heartily recommend. It's absolutely wonderful, and if you've got the money and you like NightForce, you know, good luck to you. It's just a remarkable scope. I won't be buying one myself because I'm into the Crusader and it's just a little bit too much of a stretch. I might give you 500 quid more, you know, but not more than that. But everyone's different on that front. I always show people, I've got all these as demo scopes on my training days, and I always show people the Delta at 1600, which is just standalone in its category for value, until you get to £2,000, where you get into the Recon. The Recon's 2 and a bit. Some people go, yeah, I'll pay the money for the Recon instantly. And some people go, oh God, I can barely see the difference. I'm perfectly happy with the Delta. It's up to you. What you've got to be doing is just barking up roughly the right tree. And, you know, it's the same here. These two should be on your list. Try them, compare them. If you've got the extra money and you like the NightForce, or it suits you better, because it's a slightly bluer scope in its style. The Crusader, I've said before, you know, it's got a more filtered, yellower, less bright tone, which is brilliant in snow, very good at reducing flare, almost unparalleled. You know, when you get haze and mist, it just cuts through it. But when it comes to dusk, that extra sort of darker filter, that yellow type of filter on the lens, it knocks back the dusk performance just a little shade, whereas the Attacker is better there. It's a personal thing, but these are definitely two top contenders. Now, I have various other scopes to talk about. The 3-27 Schmidt has impressed the hell out of me, and I've spent many years saying how much I dislike the 5-25. The 3-27 knocks it into a cocked hat, but it is a very expensive option. Again, like the NightForce, it's up at 4,000 quid. I was going to include the 5-45, which is very much in the same conversation as the NightForce and the Crusader, the Clash of the Titans as we're calling it. But there were some problems. I had one for a while, but it had to go back, no fault of theirs, and I haven't got another one since, and things have been complicated by COVID. So the 5-45 I can't fully comment on. My initial impressions with it were that it had that wonderful high mag range that I've been discussing, is something I'd like to see in the NightForce. I mean, it's not 5-30, 5-35, or 7-35, it's 5-45, fully 9 times. My concern was I did feel that the what people call fussiness, that eye box, the fragility of the of how stable you have to keep your eye to get a nice sight picture without the black rings around the edge. I felt that that was a bit fussy, but more than I personally would have liked. And again, of course, it's got to be perfect because it's so much extra money. The eye box on the NightForce is just remarkable, you know, and that might be what has been won back by only doing that 5 times mag range from 7-35. Maybe they built a 5-50 and it was just too fussy. So my impressions on the 5-45 were that it was just a bit fussy, but don't quote me because I haven't had a proper non-prototype version to play with. So those are my concerns, and they are always something that I would look at in a high mag range scope. What are we what are we giving up here? Some scopes that are 5 to 50, for example, you're going to pay in they've got less adjustment range, or they've got a fussier eye box, or they've got, normally the one that suffers is the field of view. And to get it all, wow, that would be great. And the 5 to 45, when I get a proper version, may well deliver that, guys, because the one I had, the field of view was absolutely world class, and the glass, the brightness, the dusk performance was absolutely world class. So watch this space on that. I'll get another one later this year, I'm sure, and I'll run that for a while and I'll report back. But this 3 to 27, I absolutely love, because it's such a versatile all-rounder. And that's going to lead me into my next video in the playlist, guys, so I'll try and put a link on screen. 3 to 27, Schmidt. 5 to 27, Zero Compromise. Both well above £3,000 versus the rather good value Valdada G2 Recon, 4.8 is it to 30, versus the classic I've been recommending for a long time. It's such good value for the performance, and such a quite a compact all-rounder. I know it's a big tactical dialer, but well, look, here's the big V8, right, which is kind of a not the hugest scope. You see that Recon? It's not ridiculously huge. So I've been recommending the Recon for a long time, but if you spend, say, another £1,500 on something like the Schmidt 3 to 27, is it a load better? And that's going to be video 2, which is Clash of the Titans, but slightly lower mag. So Clash of the Titans up to 30 mag, should we call it? And that's coming up now.